gimmick and into this like joke or whatever she's doing, this facade, that now she doesn't know how to like reveal or unveil what this is, and it starts to become a little bit messy. But the messiness, because he's, but the messiness
What's up, everybody? Welcome in for an EVE Online Tuesday, as I didn't even check my camera before we started, so that's great. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week. Consider it a win being here. Just showing up, half the battle. Same goes for you, so I hope you're doing wonderful. As we start EVE Online this week, I wasn't overly keen on doing an EVE Online show this week. I was a little bit disenfranchised, struggling a little bit, so like I said, showing up, half the battle. But I did want to start with the sales they have going on and just kind of look real quick to see if I felt like they were good deals. I haven't been on and checked the sales here in a little while, so wanted to see if I felt like they were good deals or not. There are some channels that go through complete financial breakdowns of what's going on, and so if you want to go to Oz or Loru, they will give you dollar by dollar if it's actually a good deal or not. And of course, as soon as I start streaming, somebody's at my door. So I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go in and just take a quick look at the sales they have on there only for one more day. So I want to just take a look and see if they are worth purchasing. Okay, so we'll start off with the boost bundles. So what's that? 7 million skill points, 2 genius booster accelerators for $96. I don't feel like that's a good enough deal. Now don't get me wrong, it's a shitload of skill points, but I think the people who would be tempted to buy this are the people who are starting out brand new And I just don't think, personally, if you are just starting out brand new, you're not going to know what to do with these skill points. It says you save $100, but I don't know. $5 for a Genius Cerebral Accelerator. Those are very expensive on the market. So $5 for one isn't bad, but not a sale or a deal or anything like that. Half as many skill points, still 2 cerebral accelerators for 48. And then a quarter of as many skill points. So basically priced according. Now this is the kind of thing that I'd consider. 700,000 skill points is a lot. It can help you get through a level 5 on something if you are training up and you've done everything but 5, and you know the old adage, and I think it's right for this, is, you know, if you train something to 4, you get 80% of the impact for 20% of the time. The 80-20 rule. And then training that 5th level is often a bit of a luxury. You do it when you can, but sometimes you have to do it to get to the next level of something. And this would be $8 to unlock that. I think is a decent deal. So, you know, the next one up, and listen, I'm talking from a budget standpoint. If you're one of the people who just pay to win and, you know, swings your wallet around like that, good for you. I try to find the level that I'm comfortable with spending that amount of money on a game and still getting a good deal. I think I would still recommend the $24 because you get 2 million skill points around, and that's great. Like I said, that'll help you finish off maybe 3 level 5s. But the fact that you bump it to 2 Genius Booster accelerators instead of 1 makes it worth that extra price bump. So, at least to me. So I would rather see that be like around 20, but 24 I think is a good enough deal that I'd still recommend it. Next they have Omega. 1 month of Omega for 16 is a good deal. Bonus stuff you get. You still get a Cerebral Accelerator. You get 100,000 skill points. You get a skin that you can sell. I don't really count those. Much like Oz and Loru, I think those are only worth something to you if they're worth something to you. Glamour X Booster and Agency Support drops. The Glamour X Booster, I mean, it can be really handy if you're behind on skills or reputation for somebody. Gosh, what is standings? Reputation. What are we playing? WoW? The Glamour X boosters can be helpful. But, I mean, listen. You're getting an advanced boost accelerator and 100,000 skill points, as well as a month of game time for $16. Why wouldn't you do that instead of the $8? I mean, yes, this is a Genius booster, so you're getting more out of it, but not that much more. And you get a 1/6 of the skill points. You know, it just, plus you get a month of game time, and all of that for only $16. Feels to me like this would be what I would recommend personally, but it's an interesting conversation. I guess really if game time isn't a problem for you, then one of these bundles is, I don't know, a better deal. But I would just tell you, this game time, you can stack it up for as long as you want. And so you can have years of game time available to you that you don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be for this month that you're doing it. 90 days Omega and just a couple skins, $38 is a good price. That's what, $13 a month for Omega. Still would probably buy the 1 month pack twice rather than buying the 3 month pack. Same thing here. 180 days Omega. So that's 6 months. So you're getting it for $11 a month. Again, a good deal, but still not as good as the single month pack. Yeah, a little disappointed that these higher level ones don't come with, it's 100,000 skill points. It's not like it's a lot of skill points. You could just put the same, if you're putting nothing in there, you could put the same 100,000 skill points in each of the packs and the same booster accelerator in each of the packs. And so yeah, I would only buy the 1 month pack there. But that's just me personally. So I would say if you have been playing for a long time and you're trying to start up an alt or something like that, the boost bundles, that would be the only way I would do those. And I'd probably go for the $24 one. The 2 accelerators, I think are good. And then for the Omega, I would just buy the 1 month a couple times. Yes, it's $16 for the 1 month, and $13 a month for the 3 months. But these extra things that you get are worth $2. 100,000 skill points, an advanced boost cerebral accelerator, the Glamour X booster. I don't really use the agency support drops, but if you do. So I think that's your best deal. If you're just looking for an overall pack, this extra stuff they give you is worth the extra $2, in my opinion. So there you go. That sale ends today. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you grab those. Okay, let's get in here. Okay.
Connecting.
Why is this not working? Let's see if I can find an answer for that. There she goes. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to do today was kind of go over my industry real quick, and then talk about fitting ships for speed. I play solo box, um, solo player, and so fitting for speed is kind of all that I do. Very rarely will I fit a ship to do anything other than GTFO as fast as possible. So let's look at the jobs we have here. So we're not far away, and we can actually. I don't know if I have how much I have of stuff to fit a Catalyst Navy issue, but it'll be my first, and so maybe we can try to fit that. I also wanted to look at fitting a Kikimora, and as you can see, we're studying a Hurricane with hopes of building that soon. So maybe we can throw together a quick fit for that as well. Oh, we didn't get Bifrost. That's too bad. Okay, so that's. I don't know. So I don't work out of JITA. I have my own little base that I work out of. So I don't know if I have the stuff to fit a Cata Navy issue, but we can bring it to the hangar and see if I have the goods for it.
Warp drive active.
Also, I turned down the game sound. It was overwhelming last time I played Eve. So if you're in the chat, you want to let me know if you can still hear it, or if I turned it down too low, or if it's still overwhelming. Feel free.
Docking request accepted.
I saw a thing, and I ended up tweeting it out. Twitter is what I'm most active on, at Rob T Radio. You can see right on the screen there. But I saw somebody tweet out that World of Warcraft quality of life improvement itself to death. And I thought that was a really interesting thought process. Oh, I gotta name my Cata. So I'll show you how I name things, because I think this is fun. I actually started doing this for D&D. When you need the name of a character or an NPC, you put, so let's go, actually just like Catalyst. But like I'll put like, so for example, in D&D, one of the characters I was playing was a cleric, and so I decided to name him Hammer of God. And what you do is you type what you want, obviously, in the English section, and then just go through and start switching the language until you find a cool name for that. It's not bad, actually, right off the bat, Belarusian, so we might come back to that. Same for Bosnian. And then as you go through here, like, there are just a bunch of cool words. You know what I mean? And, the reason I thought of it is because, Colorado is like red. I believe it's Red Rocks, if I remember right, or Red Desert, something like that. I should know that, but a lot of the things that we have names for are just, I kind of like that, Filipino. a lot of the things that we have names for are just from another language, the same word. And, we're like, that's the name. It's really interesting, too, to go through and see how similar a lot of the languages are, especially the ones through Europe. You know, most of them, it's basically the same word, but there's like little tiny tweaks, and I find that really fascinating. So far, I think Filipino or Finnish was my favorite. That's the other thing that's hard, is that you have to remember, that's kind of cool, Japanese. Shokubai. And it's funny because sometimes you'll get really long words. And, it'll be 3 or 4 words put together to get what you want. And then you'll click on something and it's just one really succinct word. And what's funny is my buddy has adopted this as well. I started doing this with Latin. Like, I would switch a lot of stuff to Latin because I thought it sounded cool. And realized that, like, you're not always going to find a good translation that's usable in Latin. So then I started branching out to other languages and really liked it. And my buddy picked it up, and he still just exclusively uses Latin. I can't get him to do anything else. I think I'm going to go with this. I think we're going to go Filipino. I do love these cinematics they added in a couple of years ago. So we're going to watch it. I don't know why it didn't pop up. There you go. I also love these little quotes they put in. Some of them are way more metal than others. Identify what stands between you and your best self, then blast it. I love that. They have cool ones for every ship has its own one. The Amar ones, because they're terrible people, go pretty hard. The Minmatar ones are pretty metal. Caldari ones go pretty hard too. I'd say probably the Galente ones are probably the worst. But that one was good. Find what stands between you and freedom and blast it. I hope I have the proper stuff to fit this ship, but if not, we can just simulate it. What I'm most interested to see is if this still only has 2
Docking permission requested. Docking request.
mid slots, and I think it was 2 mid slots, 3 lows as the regular catalyst. What do they have extra? If they have more lows, I'll be thrilled. I know everybody gets frustrated that Catas only have the 2 mids, but let's see what she's got. 3 and 3. Okay. Okay. So, 4 fitting ships for me personally, and everybody has their own way of doing it. But as a solo box solo player, the most important thing for me is escapability. So whether that's speed or having different wind conditions for making sure that I can get away from somebody, that is always kind of the most important thing. Because so often it's important in EVE to take fights on your own terms, and for me, very rarely am I able to do that. You know, we've got to, when we go out, when we try to find engagements, not only does it have to be a good ship-to-ship matchup, but then also I need to make sure that they're not going to be able to get help by the time before I can take them down, which means that my limited engagement profile is even more limited simply by the fact that if there's multiple of them or they're multi-boxing, it's just not a good fight for me to take. And I've been in several faction warfare complexes where I've taken a fight and, 30 seconds later in comes their alt or their buddy, and I got to deal with it. So, okay, so the first thing I do when I fit ships is I just see what the lowest align time possible is. If you don't know how the ticks work in EVE Online, every second the system renders and kind of makes everything from that second happen. So if you show up on a grid, it won't be until the next tick that you actually show up and you're targetable. And so it doesn't really matter here that the align time is 3.84. You're a sub 4 ship, right? Because anything in between 3 and 4, you're going to show up on the 4th tick. And so it doesn't matter if I can get that all the way down to 3.01, I'm still showing up on the 4th tick. It does matter if I can get it to 2.99, because if I get it to 2.99, then I'm showing up on the 3rd tick. You know what I mean? So the first thing that I do is I take the two things that make your align time the fastest and just load it up on the ship. And I would hate to fit a ship like this unless it works. So this is really just to see how fast can I get this ship. And the two things that give you the fastest align time, they increase your align time the most, are low friction nozzle joints and inertial stabilizers. So what I like to do at the very beginning here is go on and put on 3 low friction nozzle joints, Tech 2s. I shouldn't say all. T1 ships and Navy ships all have 3 rig slots. So I'll put 3 Tech 2 rigs in there. And you have what's called diminishing returns here. So as I do this, you're going to see that I get a warning that pops up that says, well, you're not getting as much from these as you would be. So you see I'm getting this diminishing return warning here for my inertial modifier. And you can see, and it says specifically it's inertia modifier that I'm not getting the full ability from. But what this does is it allows me to see, is it even possible to get this ship under a 2-second align time? And as you see right here, definitely not. Which means that I can then, with peace in my mind, go through and pull off a bunch of this stuff knowing I'm never going to get it all the way back under 2. So all I need to do is make sure it stays under 2.99. Right now I've got 1 inertial stabilizer on there and 1 small low friction nozzle joint. So if I take the eye stab off there, I'm not below there. So what if I switch? I'm not below there, so I'm at 307. But what that can tell me is that I can maybe go with a low friction nozzle joint 1 to save myself some money, because these are 253,000 and the twos are 3.8 million. Not all that much money when it comes to Eve, but if you can make your fit cheaper, why wouldn't you? Because you're probably going to lose it. And if you're still accomplishing the same thing, then great. The other thing that I can do, and I do like doing this, is increase my on-grid speed while still getting below 3. So let's go to hull and armor. Hull upgrades. And let's put a nanofiber 2 on there. So what a nanofiber does is not only does it increase align time, but it also increases your on-grid speed. So without it, I'm going 350. With it, I'm going 383. Is that a lot? No. Is it worth it? Yeah, sure. So now I'm going to get rid of that low friction nozzle joint 1. I'm at 324. Can I do the same thing with my rig? Where I put on, so there's 3 types of rigs that affect your speed. Low friction nozzle joints are just going to increase your align time. So here, low friction nozzle joints, and they're going to have the biggest increase on that. Polycarbonate engine housing is going to both increase your align time and increase your speed, but not as much as if you were to use one of the specializations. And then what is it that just does your speed? I think it's auxiliary thrusters. Yeah. So then there's auxiliary thrusters, and those only increase your speed. They don't increase your align time. So your polycarbonate engine housing kind of splits the difference. And I can get away with putting a polycarbonate engine housing 1 on there. Let's see. And these prices are for, frigate size stuff. So the prices aren't overwhelming, but if you end up doing this on a battleship, you could end up saving yourself like 30 million. So small polycarbonate engine housing is 72,000 for a Tech 1 and 1.4 million for a Tech 2. So let's throw the Tech 2 on there. And so you can see now I've only got 2 slots filled. I'm sub 3 align time, and I've boosted my speed, my on-grid movement speed from 350 to 405, and that's without any kind of prop mod on there. So this is the first thing I do when I'm fitting any ship. I know I can't get it below a 2-second align time. Would be awesome if I could. 2-second align time is kind of the god tier of speed. If you can get something below a 2-second align time, you're generally safe going through gates almost, from gate camps almost no matter what. You can still get caught in bubbles, you can still get smart bombed, and there are a very few number of ships that can lock you in that time. The famous saying, you are never safe in Eve. So, but if you can get it under 2 seconds, that's kind of the god tier of speed ships. I can't get this catalyst under 2 seconds, even if I load it up with speed speed modifications in the lows and the rigs. So the next best thing is to have it under 3 seconds while still leaving myself as many slots open as I can. And I can do that by putting a nanofiber 2 and a small polycarbon engine housing, and I can actually get away with putting a 1 on there. You see I'm at 2.98, and I'm only at 401 speed. That has a lot to do with my skills. If your skills aren't as good, or if you just want to squeeze that little bit of extra out of the spot that you're giving up, which is how I feel right now. We're putting it in the rig, so I'm giving up that slot anyway. I might as well maximize it and get the most that I can out of it. And so that'll put me at 2.93 and 405 for the on-grid speed without a prop mod. And so in my mind, those two are locked in because I'm always worried about getaway factor first. And so with that online on-grid align time and speed, I feel good being able to get away when I see somebody drop on grid with me. But there's a chance that they could be next to me, cloaked, uncloak, and still land a scram on me. In fact, when I streamed last week, you saw somebody do that to me. So we need to make sure we have multiple win conditions on each ship, or know that we're gambling and that we're not extremely safe. Now, for a Catalyst Navy issue, I'm already at 20 million. The ship costs 19.2 on its own. Not a big number, obviously, but you have to decide where that value comfort is for you, where you don't put extra win conditions on the ship because you're okay with the fact that if somebody drops on you, they're just going to blow you up. So, next thing I do when I'm fitting a ship, and the title says fitting for speed. Well, we've done that already. So the next thing that I do is I look and see what bonuses that it has. So it's got an armor plate mass penalty reduction. I don't know that I would armor tank this ship. Possibly if I was taking it to PvP, I would armor tank it. But I think I would probably put 2 reps on it before I put a plate on it. But we can look at both of them. And then 50% bonus to small hybrid turret range and fall off, and 10% bonus to small hybrid turret damage. So I don't think I have any Tech 2 blasters. So let's go and just look at what that would look like. And this is how people gank you. You know what I mean? I'm in large. Why am I in large? Shouldn't there be ship restrictions? Okay. This is how people gank you in high sec. They build these ships that are only worth so much money that they don't care if Concord blows up. And, polarized, huh? That's kind of saucy, a polarized setup. That just do crazy, crazy damage. So let's take a look at what this would do. So almost 300 DPS, 281. I don't have any rigs in. I don't have any helpers in the lows or mids or anything like that. And it's doing 281 with Tech 2 neutron blasters. Your range is between 1 and 6, so that on-grid speed is going to be important because you're going to have to get fairly close, but 1,000 isn't bad. Let's put on the different types of blasters and see what they can do. So, modules. And your guns are generally going to take up the next most space. Okay, so for the neutron blaster, we've got a optimal range of about 1,500 and a fall off range of around 6,000 for 47 damage per second. The ion, you have to be a little bit tighter and you get less damage, so ion's no good. Electron, you got to be even tighter and for even less damage. Why would we? And then the polarized boosts us up to 58 damage per second. So polarized guns mean that you have to turn off all resistances. So if you look at my resistances over here, you can see they're all 0. I'm taking full damage from everything. And if I don't have that, I have to unequip it, I think. You see that the ship comes with natural resistances, and then you can build on that. And my EHP went from 4,500 to 6,000 just because of those resistances. So if you build a polarized ship, you have to know that it's going to get blapped really quick. But if you do it, you can do insane amounts of damage. So let's just see what that would be. If we did a full rack of polarized light neutron blasters. So null is 280. There you go. Void DPS 453 DPS per second. That's 75. That's crazy. Antimatter gets you 351. So Void, obviously, the way to go with the Tech 2 ammo. So if you just want to try to blap something off the field, you've got an Alpha Strike here, which means your total damage from your first volley when you shoot with hybrid weapons, you get an Alpha Strike. Your Alpha Strike is 960 HP. And when I had my resistances on this ship, I was at 6,500 EHP. I mean, you're taking out a sixth of their health in just one blap shot. There you go. And then 453 damage per second. I mean, so we're polarized, right? Let's just build this out as polarized. I've never really had the use for a polarized ship. Flying by yourself, it just doesn't often make sense to build ships that are polarized because your EHP is so low that it's just not worth the damage that you get from it. But I would take something like this into, say, faction warfare and let somebody, you have to be careful here because you'd have to be within, 2,000 meters. And so if you're fighting somebody who's a kiting build, you could have some trouble, but you just have to find ways to maximize your speed to make sure that you can get in close. So how would I build this? I would then go to modules, and the next thing that I would check is I would see if I could overprop this. So let's go to mids, propulsion, and I would see, can I get a 10 MN afterburner on this thing? I can. It fits. So let's go with the compact. Okay, so that makes using the afterburner, my on-grid speed is almost 1,800 meters per second. Love that. Line time's still under 3. So if I'm in a faction warfare thing, I should be scanning and be able to see when they're at the door, right? When they're 1 AU out and coming for me, and decide if it's a fight I want to take or not. My line time's under 3, so if I decide I don't want to take it, I should be able to get out of there before they can scram me. And if I need to get closer to them, I can go around 1,800 M3 meters per second to try to get close to them and get into a nice tight orbit where I can take advantage of the fact that my blasters are going to knock them down. So if we are doing that, if we're building this for faction warfare, this is where the extra mid slot comes in real handy because we're definitely going to need a scram. You have to make sure that you have a way to stop them from warping off once they realize that you're doing so much damage to them. You don't want them to warp away. So this is 9,000. I think I want a disruptor though, because I want to make sure that we shut down. There. So the question that you have to answer when you're deciding if you want a scrambler or a disruptor. For a disruptor, you get 24 kilometers of range. And you only get one scramble strength. Most of the time, for small ships, that'll be plenty. Most of the time. This is unless you're going to go in and buy some very expensive faction disruptor. And even those have scramble strength of 1. Or do you want a warp scrambler instead of a warp disruptor? And the scrambler only works out to 9,000 meters, but you get a scramble strength of 2, and it disables jumping, micro jump drives, and warp drives. So they can't use their micro warp drive, and with my afterburner, I can go 1,800 meters per second, which means I should be able to run anybody down. But I have to be within 9,000 meters of them to land it, which means it's doable in faction warfare, but other places it would be tough. So I'm going to put a scram on there instead of a disruptor. And then, not that I need it, but I am going to put a web on there. And we'll put a compact web on there. Because we're starting to run out of grid. We're at 85% of grid. What else could I put in the high slot? Probably not anything useful. I don't have any drones. Can't use smart bombs. I mean, you could put a scanner in there, but... The newt I could put in there. It's not a terrible idea. I'm stable. Oh, well, that's not running the afterburner. Yeah, I'm basically stable right now. So it doesn't have to be a Nosferatu. It can be a neutralizer. So let's put a scope in there. Yeah, but see, that knocks me down to 2 minutes, which is still a pretty long time, but... Okay, so we're stable with a newt that... but it only works within 4,000 meters. But like I said, I should be able to... Or works within 6,000 meters. Optimal range is within 4,000 meters. And I should be able to run somebody down. I've got a web, and I've got great on-grid speed. So now I would go to my low slots and see what else I can put in here. This is where I'd maybe look at... I don't know. I don't think you can... Can you add extra tank if you're polarized? It's a great question. Like I said, I've never flown a polarized ship before. Can I fit 200s on there? Okay. And then can I rep it is the next question. Okay, interesting. So I can do both of those, but I'm over. So if I can do both of those, then I'm over. My next urge is to go to the rigs and put in an engineering rig to allow me more power grid. I don't even know if I need the 2. Can I? Well, let's put in the 2 and just see how big we can go here. You know what I mean? But I might switch that to a 1 and put in something for the guns, which is really what we're building this ship around. So now that I put that on there, can we do 200s? We sure can. Can we do, well, so let's, actually the armor repper is probably more fun to fit a bigger one, right? So we're way off trying to fit a medium. So we're not going to be able to fit a medium armor repper. But then can we fit bigger plates? Nope, we can only fit 200s. And that even puts us over on our align time. Interesting. So let's put the plates on there. And let's take off the nanofiber because the nanofiber actually hurts your armor. And we might be able to take off the polycarbonate too and just put a eye stab in the lows. Okay, that gets us close. But we're still gonna need the polycarbonate engine housing to get there. Okay, so our line time's still under 3. Our on-grid speed has suffered. We're at 373 without a prop mod. With a prop mod, we're at 1646. Still really respectable. So that makes me wonder if I lose the Nosferatu. And this is what fitting is, you know, you just kind of go through and try different combinations of things, and you can get lost in here for hours. It's one of the things I love about the game. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's destroy that. Let's switch you to the compact one. Okay. So without the NOS, we can go back to what we had before. Oh, but we're still over on align time. Interesting. Okay. So generally your rigs don't do as much for you as the actual modules do. But if I switch this to a low friction nozzle joint 2, I'm under. I lose on grid speed. But astronautics rigs don't take up that much of your calibration, which is how they measure how many, what kind of rigs you can put in there. So you can't put too many super powerful rigs in there. So let's go to hybrid weapon rigs. Your weapon rigs are going to take the most. And inside the weapon rigs, the burst accelerator and collision accelerator, burst aerator and collision accelerator are the ones that are going to take up the most calibration. As you can see, they also increase the amount that your guns need in terms of power grid. So we could try to fix that and technically have this. But we also wouldn't be able to put another rig on then if we did that. So what if we just did a 1? So that gets us 50 extra DPS. But then we have to put on a rig for engineering. Ancillary current router 1 would do it. Can't fit a 2. Okay, so then let's try to Tech 2 some of this stuff because we've got extra power grid, you know? So let's get rid of this and put a 2 on there. Do I need the compact afterburner? Okay, so the Tech 2 is over. Can I do an enduring? I can. So that'll help a little bit with but with all this running, I only have a minute 40 of cap time, which is not a lot. Should be enough because these fights go pretty fast, but not a lot. So what can I do to help that? I can get rid of the grappler and put a cap battery in. So let's put a compact in there. That brings my time up to 3 minutes, which should be enough for a faction warfare fight. Man, I want that extra 50 DPS so bad. But it just might make more sense to make everything smaller on here. So we've reverted back to our setup that we had before we put in the ancillary current router to get extra power grid. And if we do that, we should be able to put the polycarbon engine housing back on. Switch back to an eye stab. And that doesn't work by itself, right? Right. Okay, so we'll put the polycarbon engine housing back on. But now we've got extra rig slots to play with. We can't necessarily fit one of our gun rigs without doing a bunch of extra stuff. We also don't necessarily have to use a repper. We've got a 7.5 bonus to rep amount, so it's 103 HP repaired every 4.8 seconds. But we could just go dual plates. And just passive buff it. So if you're building a buffer tank, what you're doing is you're putting no way to repair on the ship. And you're just saying, here is what my number is, and you can hit it. And with a polarized ship where I have 0 resistances, that is a scary proposition. But this ship is about the damage, you know what I mean? So let's put a compact stasis webifier on there. Interesting. So if I'm going to do this, what if I get rid of this? And I put another a couple polycarbons. That's too many. So can I do all my speed fitting in the rigs and allow me to put a damage mod in the lows, which will probably get me that 50 DPS back and more. So let's go low frictions, and that'll get us there. Interesting. So if I get rid of 2 of them and put in a low friction 2, not there. But okay, so this is all my speed fitting in the rig slots, and that gets me 394 meters per second, which is good. Not as good as when I was using the Nano, but then I don't take the armor penalty. And my line time is 2.9, which is under our 3 seconds, and that's with 1 low friction nozzle joint, 1, and then 2 small polycarbon engine housing 2s. So then I can go here and here. I'm out of power grid is the problem. And everything here is compact. Nope. But that's just going to help on CPU. That won't help on power grid. Okay, well, let's put it in and see what happens. Turrets and launchers, weapon upgrade. I think it's magnetic field stabilizer for hybrid weapons. Let's make sure. Yes, hybrid turrets. Okay, well, I got the CPU, so I might as well use the two. Okay, that gives us an extra 100 damage. Which begs the question, what does 2 give us? Dang, that is crazy. Okay, so we can't fit 3 of them, but can we fit a compact? Can we fit 2 compacts? Okay. Jesus. So its Alpha Strike is over 1,000 and it does 718 DPS. That's crazy. Now I've removed all of the buffer tank. I'm fit simply for speed and damage. And honestly, this is what most people would suggest that you do. You fit it to do one thing really well instead of do a bunch of things okay. That's kind of the known thought process there. So if I'm going with the polarized guns, clearly I'm fitting for damage. So we put 3 mag stabs in the low and boost the damage up to 718 DPS. Is there any other way that we can help that? So right now each gun's doing about 120 damage per second. Okay, so if I fit, I don't think there's going to be a way to get a rig in here, but let's just, for giggles, see if we can get it done. So if I fit 2 low friction nozzle joints, 2s, I'm at 2.9. Do I have enough calibration left to fit a damage rig? I do. I don't have enough for a 2 though, right? No, I don't. How much am I over? 50. Can I do a 2 and a 1 with the low friction nozzle joints and still get under 3? 2 and a 1. I can. I still don't think I'm gonna have enough room for a Tech 2 damage rig. Burst. Collision. No, sir. Dang. So close. What if I go a 1 and polycarbonate? That's not going to get me there. Okay. So a low friction nozzle joint and low friction nozzle joint Tech 1 and a low friction nozzle joint Tech 2 will get me sub 3 align. And then I can at most add a Tech 1 damage rig. And I think I want the collision because I want to boost that alpha strike as much as I can. I'm getting a warning about diminishing returns for rate of fire, that's fine. For damage modifier as well. But I mean, that is just one of them, right? Okay, now let's go back to the mag stabs and see if I can put a Tech 2 on there. I can't. What if I compact the scram? Should have just done it through the info window. Okay, compact the scram. Oh shoot, I put a disruptor on there. I don't want a disruptor, I want a scrambler. So my range on that is only 7,500 meters, but I mean, I gotta get close for the guns anyway, right? One thing we did lose is on-grid speed with this, but we are still overpropped, so that plus the web of fire should be able to get them close if they take the fight. But I'm not going to be able to force anybody to take the fight because they... Maybe I do want to put a disruptor on there. No, I need to be able to keep them close. 4,300 DHP is not a lot, I can tell you that. But now we've got... Can we do all Tech 2s? We sure can. So now we've got 770 DPS. And it's just about being close enough to use it. Well, it makes for an interesting question. Which is, if I take off one of these mag stabs, I lose 70 DPS. And if I take off 2, I lose 170. But there is just zero tank on this thing. I mean, literally zero tank. Now, because it's a Navy issue ship, it's got a decent amount of EHP on its own. But I have 0 resist and 0 tank on this ship. That is a wild thing to go into a fight with, but my win condition is I'm going to kill them before they kill me. So I would probably want to stay away from things like Punishers. I'd want to stay away from like Incursus or Tristan's even. A Tristan I'd have to be able to grab and web down and just be close enough to it that I eat it before its drones get me. I'd be okay, I think, in a fight with like a Comet. Try to speed tank it with the afterburner a little bit. But I think a Hookbill, Vigil Fleet, I think those would be tough. But anything with hybrid turrets or projectile turrets, I think I could do enough speed tanking that I could offset it a little bit. It'd be a fun ship to fly. You know what I mean? So let's save this fitting. Polarize. So there you go. There's our first fit of the day. Next, I want to do a Kikimora. So let's close that and go into our ship tree. Triglavian, Kikimora, simulate ship. I have not fit a trig ship before, so this will be interesting. Oh, I know what that's for. Sorry, I got a weird text message. I'm like, I wonder what that's for. So this will be a Kikimora for Triglavian space. That ship looks so cool. So part of the reason that I want to build this ship is because of the speed bonuses that you get in trig space. Or I should say, the speed debuffs that you don't get in trig space if you're flying a trig ship. So I'm going to start off the same way I always do, but just know that I already have a built-in bonus of flying through trig space, which means my ship flies faster than other non-Triglavian ships. So, first thing we always do, man. Low friction nozzle joints. Stacking up the thing. Oh, this one, there's a possibility I can get it under 2. Let's see. That'll be fun if I can. Ugh. Bummer. Okay, well, to get it sub 3, it's going to be very easy, obviously. So, let's see. Can I do it with a couple polycarbons and really boost my on-grid speed? And then let's put a nanofiber in there. Love fitting ships, love theory crafting. So if you have any thoughts, feel free to share it. Okay. On-grid speed is awesome. But I'm not quite there on the align time, which is a bummer. So, what if I do that and do a low friction nozzle joint 2? That won't get me there. So if I do a polycarbon engine housing 2 and a low friction nozzle joint 1, not going to get me there. Okay. So unfortunately, that's 2 of the rig slots eaten up. Oh. Not building this ship for this character, so this doesn't matter that much. Okay. So it gets bonuses to light entropic disintegrators. Damage and optimal range. Can nude it out because you can only put 1 disintegrator on these ships anyway. Ooh, I could put a smart bomb on it. I think you can use smart bombs in trig space. Let's look. Says that you can use smart bombs in Triglavian space. So that could be an interesting option for the highs as well. And these are made for remote armor repping, but I am a solo box solo player, so that doesn't help me, right? So let's put the precursor turret on there. 23 million for a 2. But he won't even have the skills for a 2, so let's put a compact on there. I have no idea the charges that go into this, so let's read about them. Medium range. Very long range, but reduced thermal and explosive. Significantly reduced. Okay, so let's go with the blaster version. Still 10,000 meters, that's pretty good. Up to 152 damage per second. Up to 113 and up to 144 with 14 kilometers. I feel like that is better than the Tetrion. You get an extra, what, 6 DPS? Yeah, let's go with the balanced. Okay. So for me, I'm a big proponent of the damage controls. I see lots of ships that don't have them. It does not make sense to me. I don't think there's anything that buffs you more than a damage control, in my opinion. Doesn't look like these guys get bonuses to armor or shields. I think they're meant to be armor tanked because you have your buddies to remote armor rep you, but again, I'll be flying by myself, so that doesn't help me. Which means that I can put damage mods in the lows. And I don't, again, Trig stuff is new to me, so if you see me doing something wrong, let me know. Okay, so let's put 2 sinks in there. It gets us up to 203, so as it spools up, the highest that'll go is 203 damage per second, which is no polarized Catalyst Navy issue, but, you know, we'll just have to make do. It's interesting. I don't know if there are rigs for Trig ships. Which means then you're just going to want to put on something that makes you, what, as fast as possible? But we'll get there in a second. Let's put the prop mod on. I've got a lot of space here. But because I'm flying this through Triglavian space, I'm probably gonna want to fit it like a PvP ship. So let's fit it like a PvP ship. Let's put the afterburner in there. Let's take one of these out. Let's put in power diagnostic. I'm not going to be able to do what I want. Let's go with a compact scrambler. I guess it doesn't really matter. So let's put the 2 in there. But anything I put in now is going to put me over on power grid. So if I put a engineering rig in, I can fit a 2. So now I'm overpropped with the afterburner. I don't think I need the web, which means I would put shield on then. And I'd put on buffer shield. Man, I'd love to be able to fit a medium. Okay, what if I put in... There's a lot of power grid I'm trying to add to this ship, which is not normally a good idea, because you're just eating up slots. So that's sub 3 align. You've got 1 damage mod in the low. I don't know. I haven't fit trig ships before. So I don't know how much the spool up, you need extra tank to deal with the spool up to get it to where it's doing enough damage. Let's see if we tech all this stuff down, if we can make it fit better. So we'll switch to a small shield. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Man, I cannot tell you how much I hate using the reactor control units. So here's why I don't like using the reactor control units. All it does is boost power core, and it boosts it by a percentage, right? For smaller ships, the auxiliary power core does more. So with the reactor control, I get 4 power grid left over. With the power core, I get 8 power grid left over, almost 9. And it's because the reactor control units are built for bigger ships. So the idea is the percentage that you get ends up being a higher number than if you were to add in just a straight number. So if you look, and I'm sure we can figure out what it is. So power grid bonus is 15%. Well, 15% of a higher number on a bigger ship is worth more than it is to a smaller ship. For a micro auxiliary power core, it just gives you a flat boost to your power grid. So this just gives me 12 megawatts of power grid. And so it does more than the percentage. So on smaller ships, I hate putting reactor control units in there because it's just a waste. Like, you don't get all the power grid that you need or you could be getting. I'd much prefer to put in a power diagnostic system that gives you a 6% boost to your power grid bonus, but it also gives you other things as well. So it gives you a boost to your shield hit points. It's only 5%, but I'll take it. It gives you a boost to your capacitor recharge rate. Only 8%. I'll take it. It also gives you a boost to your capacitor capacity. 5%, but I'll take it. And then it gives you a boost to your shield recharge rate too. So, like, love power diagnostic systems. Much prefer them. But it just leaves me just a little bit short putting it in there. And so you can see it doesn't do a ton for these, but it does a little bit. And if I have to put something in for power, I'd rather have that in there than a reactor control unit or a micro auxiliary power core, which does nothing else for you. It only gives you power, but it gives you more. Them's the breaks. So what can we do here? If we compact that, I don't think it's going to matter. But we can try. So that buys us 0.7 power grid. I don't think we can afford to compact the nanofiber, but we can try. That puts us right at 3, which I don't think is good enough. I think you have to be under, so we have to have that. Can we compact the damage control? And I should be doing it this way because it's faster. That doesn't save us any power grid. Can we compact the radiation sink? Doesn't save us any power grid. I already have a compact shield extender on there. I don't think a scram is going to save us power grid either. It's going to save us CPU. But let's try. Yeah. Well, maybe we're not able to overprop this. Well, I can just put it in the rig, but I just told you how much I hate doing that. So if I put current router 2 in there, let's turn this off and see if that'll do it. It will. So let's put a 2 in there. I guess the one good thing about that is there's no damage rig that I can fit for trig. At least not that I know of. But like I said, I haven't fit trig ships before, so if you have a suggestion for that, I'm all ears. So that frees up a low slot. Let's just see how far away we are from a medium shield extender. I need an extra 13 power grid. And the micro auxiliary power core gives me 12, and that's as much as you can get, so just not gonna get there. What if we armor tank it? So I'm right up against it in terms of align time, which is normally why I don't like armor tanking ships. I'm a big shield tank guy. But what if we, so just to look at it, yeah, it'll be over even with the compact plates. And they'll give me 300 more EHP. I mean, almost nothing. But what if I hull tank it? So let's see what that does. Okay. The restrained bulkheads still keep me under 3-second align time. I get the same couple hundred EHP extra. And your resists are higher in your hull than anywhere else. So that 1000 HP will last longer, probably about as long as the 1200 armor HP. So I don't hate that. Now, I've got two options in the mids. I could throw a small... Oh, I could throw a hardener on there. But I don't think it's worth it for the 500 shield hit points that we have. But let's just take a look at throwing an extender in there. It's not bad, 6,700 EHP. Does speed matter for precursor weapons? Yeah, I mean, it's got turret tracking on there, so makes me wonder if Webb will help with a trig ship. I imagine that answer is yes. But again, if you've got different info, let me know. So if we put a grappler on there, and then was it Nosferatu or Neutralizer? Neutralizer. So let's see if we can still fit a Newt on here. That would be sweet. Compact doesn't even fit. The CPU I could get under by teching down some of my stuff. But I just don't know where I'd find that 2.8 power grid unless I take off the overprop, which is why we're doing this thing. So I would say I'd leave that slot empty probably. Okay, well, everything's tech 2'd up. So all together, I'm going to build the ship, and that's always, to me, the most important part. But, man, look at that light entropic disintegrator and how much it costs. That's crazy. Which I think I have a blueprint for that, too. Might be time to look and see if I do. But essentially the Kikimora is 30 million, which means there's 33 million of just random stuff there. Oh, what's up? Electric Experience. I didn't even see that you were watching. I apologize, man. I just now saw your chat. My bad. I hope you've been enjoying the content. Happy to chat with you. Okay, so sorry, going back to this. I think I'm going to leave the top slot empty and build it like this. So 4.5 AU per second. My line time's 3. My cap is stable. It's a sweet looking ship, isn't it? Okay, so let's go. We'll save that. And then I want to try to fit a Hurricane too. But maybe we'll take a break before we do that. We definitely need to run some ads to turn off the pre-roll. I do want to check though and see. So I do have blueprints for entropic disintegrators. I can make light ones and a light scoped one. Can you do invention on the light scoped ones? No. Can you do invention on the... Yes, you can. So I'll probably save the Tech 1 copies, try to turn them into Tech 2s, and build the scoped. Minerals won't be an issue. The Isogen 10 I think I have, but I'll also need that for the Kikimora. So I have 115 crystalline Isogen 10, and I need 15 for the disintegrator. And then I am very low on 0-point condensate. So we'll just make a note here. If you don't have a notebook or spreadsheets or saved docs on your computer or online for EVE Online, are you even playing? You know what I mean? Okay. So now let's look at the Kikimora. And I mean, it's nice to be able to build your own stuff, but this is part of the tedious parts of it, is because I have enough money to go buy all this stuff. You know what I mean? But there's a part of me that's like, well, you could just build it for free. And it's not really free, it's a time investment. But you get into that mindset of, well, I don't want to spend 45 million ISK just on a weapon and a hole when I can just build it myself. You know what I mean? Okay, and then for the Kikimora, I have all that. That's easy. But I need 230 crystalline Isogen 10 and 180 0-point condensates. That's kind of crazy that I need less 0-point condensates for the Kikimora than I do for the weapon. And then I wonder if I can just... No. I do have another trig ship blueprint. But I'd have to find it. So let's see if I can find it like this. Okay, it would be a copy. The Rodiva. I don't know that I've seen anybody fly that ship. I wonder if it's like the Tech 1 version, so nobody uses it. Looks like it is. So let's see where it fits on the tree. Ah, that's why, because everybody flies the fucking Vedmak instead of the Rodiva. So what's the difference? Oh, you can use heavy entropic disintegrators. Can you not use that for the Rodiva? Let's find out. Does it not use trig weapon systems? Oh, I'm so confused. It's a 50 million ISK hull. It's got to do something. I guess that's not all that much for a cruiser, but... Dang, it can't fit disintegrators. It can't fit precursor turrets. That's crazy. Okay, well, it's hybrid or electric for me. In terms of skills, can I fit large ones? Nope. So let's just, for shits and giggles here, $134 DPS on a cruiser. What the hell, man? I guess this ship is purely a support ship, a support cruiser. I mean, it's got the armor reps on there, remote armor reps, cap bonus. Smart bomb, newt, but that's all trig stuff. That's all regular trig stuff. That orients towards remote armor repair and seems to be the collective's equivalent to a support cruiser. The Rodiva is another Triglavian design that has proven adaptable to capsuleer technology, as with previously recovered examples of ship architecture recovered from abyssal dead space. The remote repair systems are considerably enhanced by adaptive armor repair mutaplasmids. Wow. So it is just a rep ship. I mean, I'll build it at some point when I get bored, but that's going to move it way down the list. Because if you're new here, I'm solo box solo player, so a logistics cruiser does not help me. Okay. Well, good thing I'm building the Kiki more. Good thing that was always the plan. Although I do wonder, let's... just out of curiosity... Because that's a lot of low slots on there. Now you're gonna run into your diminishing returns here, no doubt. But just out of curiosity, with 435 cargo, how fat can I turn this into a cruiser hauler for me to do PI in Triglavian space in a trig ship, because there is no trig hauler, and use it to get around safer than in another ship that is not Triglavian. So let's see. So the fastest I can get it is sub 4. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. Okay, so if I do... I don't... On-grid speed isn't really that important for... what I'm doing here. Crybaby Crook. Is that... trying to remember. Calling me Rib Fox, though, is from a very specific era. Oh. Yvonne, what's going on, man? How you doing? Been a while. I haven't seen you in a while. And I haven't seen you on, like, Twitter or anything either. Rib Fox. Why did I even tell you that? I don't even remember why I told you that name. What's going on, brother? I hope you're good, man. Last I heard, you wanted to move I think, to Vegas. But I thought you were originally from California? Maybe I've got that messed up. But I know you lived here for a long time and your family was here. But I know you wanted to move out of town, so hope you're doing well. Hope you are living the dream, whatever you're doing now. It's nice to see you. Okay, so it's only 392, so I don't know if a polycarbon is going to help me here. But we can try it. Ooh, a polycarbon does help me here. So it keeps me at 399. You wonder if the skills on the alt are going to be enough for that, but we can make adjustments with him if we need to. So let's expand our cargo here and see what we can get. 1,000. And then let's go with cargo hold optimization. 1,600, but I'm over on calibration, so it's really so 1,500 M3. I just don't know if that's worth the build cost for it, though. And the rest doesn't really matter. Like, I'll tank it up and everything, but 1500 M3 to be a hauler in Potvin space. What if we put a hyperspatial on it? Moves 5 AU per second. It's better, but not good. So I think I'd probably roll with the cargo hold optimization. I don't know. What's its build cost? So 326 crystalline isogen 10. That's going to be expensive. So it's going for 64 piece. So if I was to buy this and buy 326, that's 21 million. And the hole's worth 50 million. I'd also have to buy 0-point condensate. It's another 12 million. Yeah. Yeah, maybe eventually, but I don't think it's worth it. You know. Okay. All right, let's take a little break here. I'm going to go grab a drink, and we need to run some pre-roll to run some ads to turn off pre-roll. When we come back, we will fit the Hurricane and then maybe do some PI as well. So, thanks everybody for hanging out, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. Hope you're all doing excellent. Old friends popping in. Love that. Couple nerds on the stream like me, enjoying watching us fit ships, which I could sit here and do all day, but I will try not to. But I do think it's going to be the majority of our day today. Okay. So, for the Kiki, I'm building it for my alt, who has much better skills for it. But we should make sure we can at least fly it. Which means we're going to have to figure out where to buy the skills, because you can't remote inject it. I can probably buy it on my alt and bring it to him. There's a couple close by that aren't too expensive. Interesting. Okay, so as you saw in my jobs, we are working on researching a hurricane blueprint. And we're going to build one of those. And we're going to build... We will probably try to invent a Sleipnir blueprint for it as well. What's up, Burn Dead Engineer? Burn Dead? Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for chatting. Just doing a little fitting right now. So I've got a hurricane blueprint that we're researching. So let's do a fit for the hurricane. And then maybe for the Sleipnir too. We'll see. We are fitting Hurricane right now, and generally I am a solo box solo player, so the way I fit ships is a little bit unique. I'm mostly fit for escape and getting out, which is why Minmatar is my favorite ship, or favorite race. But I also have a rule that I can't fly it until I build it. So I have less experience fitting these bigger ships. So we just did a Catalyst Navy issue and a Kikimora, and those I have plenty of experience fitting ships of that size. But for the Sleipnir and the Hurricane, I have less experience fitting it. So open to any suggestions if you have. You've got a Hurricane fit. Yeah, I mean, feel free to drop it in the chat if you want. But like I said, one of my big drawbacks for me is that I play by myself. So when other people send fits, most of the time I have to rebuild them for something that I can fly solo and still have some semblance of safety, which... it's tough. You never really are safe, but he's a solo PvPer. Well, sure, then I'd love to see what fit he's got. I'd love to see it anyway, but might be more helpful to me. Okay, so how I always start fitting my ships is for speed. So let's see how low of an align time we can get on this bad boy. Now, obviously, you're never going to fit a ship like this because your diminishing returns are going to kill you. But it at least gives me an idea of if I can fit for align time and what that align time is. So sub 5, I mean, for a battle cruiser is good, but not going to prevent you from getting pinned down. So I would say probably wouldn't fit for... I might throw a couple eye stabs on there if I could keep it under 5. But I think what I'm more likely to do is see if I can keep it under 6 and also increase the on-grid speed so it's a little bit more nimble and movable. So let's put a polycarbon engine housing on there. And then let's put some nanofibers on there and see where that gets us. Oh, it's gonna kill links if you put them in there. Here, let me whisper you. And you can drop the link in that whisper that I just sent you, and I will take a look at it. Okay, I'm taking a look at it now. Armor tanked. Micro jump drive on it. That's interesting. Let's drop it into Workbench for a second here. Copy it to clipboard. And then import from clipboard fit. Simulate. Yes. Okay, so he's got better skills than I do. Because he can fit it with the power grid. I would have to go through and fix that. With Hail in, he's at 645 DPS. That's a great number. I don't know that I get the micro jump drive. It's going, I mean, unless he is like specifically waiting on gates and trying to just nab one person and jump them out to a distance so he can pop them. which that makes sense. But if somebody's flying with other ships, the chances of you being able to grab just one of them and jump them out is low. Yeah, that's the fit on just this one kill. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe he had some sort of specific kind of gate camp or something, or if you wait maybe in a faction warfare complex and then jump somebody out, that's actually kind of cool. That would be a cool thing to do. You blip them out to, what is it, 200 meters? Or, let's see. How far do you go? $100 kilometers. So yeah, I mean, you if you're in a faction warfare complex, you jump them out to 100 kilometers. You can't get ganked. That's actually kind of a cool. Yeah, 100 kilometers. You nailed it. That's actually kind of a cool. Would be a cool thing to do in faction warfare. I hadn't thought of that. What does he have on here? Armor pumps. So he's up to 18,000 armor hit points. And is this an reactive? Yeah. Do like the reactive armor hardener. He's got that and a multi-spec on there, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, I like the fit. I typically... If I was flying a ship like this, I would probably have reppers on there. But it depends who he was hunting, right? Like if you're hunting smaller ships, then you don't need the repper on there. Only 3 drones in there. That's interesting. Maybe he had a bunch of them that got destroyed. He's needle jacking too. This is my dog right here. Yeah, I understand it's a loss, so some of the stuff is missing. He also probably has a better pod than I do. I don't like spending money on pods. It's one of my big failings, I would say, because I hate spending billions on a pod and then getting potted. It drives me crazy. Which always puts me just like a sliver behind everybody else. So yeah, I mean, I would assume when I look at stuff like this that they have a better pod than I do and that they're using drugs. But yeah, let's see if we can find something similar to it. Here, I'm going to save this actually. Just to have a couple different variations. But let's get a clean one. Come on. Why won't you give me simulate ship? Okay. Let's get a clean one in here. Community fit that has a PvP Hurricane but with active tank. Yeah, I think I would run active tank with that. Hard to say. But I do think I would run active tank with that. Okay. So, the first question is what's the use case that you're fitting it for? For me, I'm probably fitting this for level 3 or 4 missions. So probably PvE, which means I'm going to want longer range than blasters, and I'm probably going to fit minimal tank, but it'll probably be active. Yeah, I tried hitting that button, Brain Dead, but it wasn't pulling it up for some reason, so I went to the tree to get it. Okay. So, let's put in a polycarbon and see if a couple nanos can get us to below 6. Which would make me feel better just flying it in general. And it will. And that ups my on-grid speed to 276. So then let's put a damage control on there. Because I'll almost certainly have that. Which leaves me 3 low slots for tank. And I can even put some shield tank on this too if I'm going to make it a PvE fit. I do not have an in-game channel yet, Brain Dead Engineer. I just started... Well, so I've been streaming for a while, but I just decided that I wasn't just going to do sports anymore. I was going to branch out and just stream whatever I love doing. And Eve is one of the things that I love. So this is actually only my second Eve stream. So I don't even have an in-game channel yet. But we do Eve on Tuesdays. So... Was that a follow? Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. We'll do Eve on Tuesdays. So if you're an Eve guy, feel free to come hang on Tuesdays. And if we get a little following here, I'll make an in-game channel that we can all hang out in. Okay, so I'm probably going to want range here. Does it get any specific bonuses? No, just projectile turret. Okay, so let's just, for shits and giggles, put this on there. I don't think I even have the skills for this yet. No, I still got to do the medium artillery specialization. Because like I said, I have to build it before I fly it, so I haven't flown a lot of big ships yet. This is going to be my first Minmatar battle cruiser, so my first projectile. I do have a Ferox Navy issue that I've built and fly, but that's hybrids. So, okay, let's just see where we're at in terms of... Right now, our range is 36. With Tremor, it's 65. With Quake, it's 9,000. I think I'd rather run something like EMP than Tremor. Yeah, give me 20 kilometers. Let's Fusion, same. 71. So I'd probably run EMP in it. Shoot out to 44, but give me a optimal range around 20. Brain dead engineer. I couldn't live. I could not live with not fly it until I build it. Would take ages, and the PNI and NID I got. Yeah, man, it takes a long time. It takes a long, long time. I'm luckily to the point where, like, pretty much any frigate or destroyer I can build tomorrow. Phoenix Navy. Yeah, it's actually where I'm aiming. So if we look at the ship tree, so I have, if it's any kind of destroyer or frigate, I've done pretty well in building them. You can see kind of the tech 2 I've explored my way into by what I have skills in. So interdictors, black ops, and interceptors, covert ops and interceptors, not black ops. And then heavy assault cruisers. My best ship probably right now is the Vagabond. But that's why we're researching the Hurricane and hopefully then the Sleipnir. I think long term, the next jump is Typhoon and then into the Phoenix, the Panther. And I think the Panther is probably where I'm going to sit for a while, because with its ability to jump around with the Sino and stuff, I feel like it's going to be my main big ship for a while. PvE. Yeah, I know everybody flies the Ishtar. My Galente skills. So one of the big challenges of building a ship before you fly it is, where is the Ishtar? I thought it was, that's the Sin. Am I crazy? Isn't that the T2? No. Am I losing my mind here? There it is. I didn't know it was cruiser level. That's interesting. That's probably more attainable than I thought. I thought that Ishtar was a battleship level, but it's not. It's the Sin that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I know a lot of people fly Ishtars for PvE stuff. My drone skills aren't all the way up. One of the big drawbacks of playing this way is that my skills have to be more diversified than most people. So, like, I have to put skills into, like, production and refining and industry, because I also try to gather all these materials myself rather than just buy them off the market. So I definitely chose to play a harder way, but it just makes it so, like, I have to put skills into ice harvesting and ice processing and ubiquitous moon ore processing, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. And it just slows me down in terms of the ships I can fly and what my skills are for them. And Galente is one of my weaker trees right now in terms of the skills I have to fly something like that. So I would need 4 and 5 in Galente cruiser and my heavy assault cruiser I already have. But yeah, the drone skills I've found out you need for pretty much mastery in any ship, which is kind of annoying. But, like, every single ship has that is part of their mastery tree. So I started working on them a couple months ago, and it's better now, but I would say not great. Let's see, what could we look at for an example? Let's do like... See, like, even the Vagabond, I only have technically... I only have a Mastery 2 in. But if you look, the things that I'm missing are Advanced Drone Avionics, Drone Navigation, Drone Interfacing, Drone Durability, and that's it. So, I don't mind flying the ship around because I know the skills that I have really are more of a Mastery 4 or 5, but it's those extra drone skills. So... Yeah, ammo gets pretty pricey. I, for a while, was really good about building all my ammo. I've slacked off on both mining enough to be able to do that and actually building it. But for a while there, I was churning out most of my own ammo. So, okay. I don't love 271 DPS. We're going to have to pump up those numbers, but we've got ways to do that. If we're going PvE, let's put a prop mod on this bad boy. I'm not worried about it being scrammed. So let's go with a 50 compact. No. Did I pick 500? Nope, I'm just almost out of power grid already. That's awesome. Okay, so we are gonna need probably a rig for power. So let's go with an ancillary current router for now. And then I think we're probably, unfortunately, going to need a power diagnostic too for a little bit extra. And that should give us some room here to play around. Okay, in the mids. I feel like I'm going to want a cat battery. And then I'd say I'll be far enough away that I'm not overly concerned about tracking. Feels like a little bit of a waste, though. Can always put range scripts in it, though. And then just to see how it looks, I can always take it out and do a multi-spectrum and an extender. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit a large. Ooh, I can fit a large. Interesting. Let's do that. And then let's put a damage mod in the lows. projectiles, so I need the gyro. Oof, baby, do I want 2 of those. So 30,000 EHP, is that enough for me to feel comfortable in PvE? Let's do this and see if we put a multi-spectrum in here, if that works better. I feel like I'm going to like the way that that looks better. Yeah, I mean, that's an extra 10,000 EHP. .400 DPS isn't great, but I don't have my medium artillery specialization amped up yet, and before I fly this, I definitely will. So it's important to remember that'll be a little bit higher. But you can't go wrong boosting up weapon, can you? I wonder if I could fit a 1 instead of a 2 for the ancillary current router. What does that look like if I throw a medium on there instead? I can probably afford a 2. So it's close. It's about 3,000 less EHP. Interesting. So just moving the rigs around here a little bit. Oh, that's why. I was going to say, I thought I was right up against it. Okay. That does low. I can't get sub 5, can I? I don't think so, but let's look. Can I get sub 5? Without using any different slots than I was already using? Sure can. That's enticing. Can that be a polycarbon? Yes, it can. Okay, well, this is a good start here. Do I need the cat battery to be stable? No, I don't. And I'm not going into the abyss because it's a battle cruiser, so I don't have to worry about that. So if that's the case, then can I put a large back on here? I can. Okay. I'm liking the way that this is looking right now. But if I'm doing that, I might as well tech to the ancillary current router because I have the space for it. And does that mean that I can get 2 larges on there? No. Can I get a large and a large compact on there? Yep. So that's interesting. That's all buffer tank, but that's a good amount of it. Who did something? Searchlight Hypnosis. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate you hanging in here. We are fitting a T1 Hurricane. 07, my man. We are fitting a T1 Hurricane. The way that I play, I have to build my ships before I fly them, and I'm a solo box solo player. So I fit a little bit differently, I think, than most people. I have to think about, protecting myself a little bit more, getting away, that kind of thing. So, which is one of the problems with this ship, is that I don't have exactly multiple wind conditions as to how to get away, and if I'm doing level 3 or 4 missions. I don't even know if this one could do level 4 missions. My skills aren't great for it right now. I'm going to obviously skill into it, but it's going to take me a little while to build it. But that being said, if I have to go through gates to complete level 3 and 4 missions, I need something a little bit better in terms of wind conditions to get away. Who hurt you? Why would you subject yourself to such punishment? It's funny. I have a couple friends who run medium-sized corps, and they wanted me to play for forever, and I didn't even tell them that I had started playing, because I just have this aversion to taking free stuff from people. I just don't like doing it. It feels like cheating to me. And when I finally told him I started playing, he got so angry. He was just like, I would have given you ships and LSIs and you could have been up and running. And I don't know, man. I choose to do it all the hard way. So, I just came back after many years off, kicking off the rust. Yeah, man, I've taken a couple breaks, but those breaks have gotten intermittently shorter and shorter each time. Cause I love the depth to the game. There's so many things that you can do. It's kind of crazy. So welcome back. Glad you're back. Hope that your stuff is, not suddenly in Triglavian space or something like that. But yeah, welcome back to the game. I think they've done a good job of making it more inviting to come back, but also keeping the game hard. So, says I started playing way back. I remember the punishing start, losing skill points on death, etc. Yeah, they've done a really good job of trying to make it friendlier for new bros. In fact, one of the things that they did just a couple months ago was they put in a super high sec, essentially, called Exordium, where your new characters start, and there's no PvP allowed in there, so it just kind of lets you figure out the basics of the game. Which, I was a little torn about, because that punishing way that you and I learned how to play, it teaches you what this game is. You know what I mean? And so if you start an Exordium and then all of a sudden you're blapped on a gate, it can be a stark realization as to the game that you're actually playing. I've got your male exotic dancers right here. I think I have them in this station. Yeah, there you go. Exotic dancers male. One M3 per unit. 72,800 ISK per is a pretty good number. Like, that is a T1 module, you know what I mean? but male exotic dancers still good to go. They do still have the slaves and stuff, but mostly the missions now are to free them, but they're still in your cargo hold as slaves, which is kind of crazy. But interesting, because then you can just do whatever you want with them, which is weird. And it's like, well, I don't want to destroy them. I just want them to go live their free life. So what are we doing here? Searchlight, it's been so much fun coming back. Keep them locked in password. I let my exotic dancers run free in my ship hangar, so. I didn't know Goons takes exotic dancers to fleets every time they fly. That's kind of funny. Yeah, man. Well, I hope you're freeing those 600 slaves, but, you know. If not, I'm just going to have to find you and destroy you. Okay. Do I want a painter or a web? Or do I like having 2 extenders on there and a multi-spec? Taj Magoon. Goon School. My interactions with goons for the most part have been good. They seem like fair people to me. Not that I haven't lost ships to them in the past. Trying to navigate goon space has been difficult because I had a couple forced evacuations that if I wanted to get where I wanted to get, I had to fly through goon space and lost ships there. I told my buddy, I'm like, I'm never going to your space again. Make me fly ships through goon space to evac out of there. I mean, you are. Brain dead engineer. You are the bullies in the game. It's just, I think you're bullies in a fair way. You're bullies just because of your size and what you're trying to accomplish. You're not actively trolling people, you know, so. Well, they're kind of the big man on campus now. I mean, not kind of. They are the big man on campus now. Frat is up there too. They were able to at least survive a war with goons, but they wiped out Horde, so. Yeah, I felt like Horde's leadership was kind of done. So, that is what it is, you know. But, I mean, don't try to act like you aren't bullies. Come on, you know. All right, so let's see if we can get some win conditions on this ship. We can cloak it, so we can do the micro warp drive cloak trick for gate camps, for gating. Because I probably won't be pulling this out into nullsec unless it's for like a fleet specifically. This is probably just for high-level missions and stuff. So micro warp drive cloak trick should be plenty. Sub 5 align, which makes me shudder personally because I just don't like flying stuff that's not sub 3 align, but that's because I'm used to flying smaller ships. So I have to get used to that 4.0 9.4 for an align time is actually good for a cruiser, battle cruiser. Searchlight. I've never actually been in a major alliance that I know of, so I can poke fun at all of them. Yeah, me neither. I help my buddies corp out sometimes, but because of the restrictions I put on myself, have not been able to fly big enough ships to help them out often. So only with some like roving fleets and stuff have I been able to help them out. Still newbie corp, but leaning towards J-Space. J-Space is tough because of course this isn't true. I shouldn't generalize like that because it's not true. But like, there's somebody in pretty much every wormhole. And so J-Space can be tough because like you're either going to have to evict somebody or find somebody to team up with. And then, the ones that are available don't have good connections. So even if you're okay going 2 or 3 deep on your connections, if there's any kind of static K-space connection in your wormhole, chances are it's already owned. For me, what I do mostly, lately I've been just doing a lot of PI. I've just been trying to build my wealth. It's a big problem for me because a lot of the stuff that people do and then sell the stuff, I hold on to because I build everything myself. So, whether it's hacking or Abyssal or whatever, all the rewards that you get from it that people normally sell and make a bunch of money, I don't sell them. I hold on to them for the eventuality that I'll need them to build something. So my actual money, most people would consider like poor. You know what I mean? Let's see what my liquid is right now. 6 billion. But in terms of like my actual net worth, it's probably 50 billion or something like that, 40 billion. And that's across multiple characters, but it's because I hold on to all my stuff. So what do? I kind of let the game come to me, and whatever I find is the most useful thing I can do that day, I do. So sometimes I run campaigns, sometimes I run abyssals. I need to get my mission running up, which is part of the reason that I want to buy this Hurricane. Or build this Hurricane, I should say. But so, it's more just kind of letting the game come to you, which is something that I think a lot of people should do. I feel like if you focus too much on one thing, this game can get tiresome. And so some days I hack, some days I abyssal, some days I play around in trig space. I've got an alt in there who does not follow the same rules. I don't have to build it before I fly it on him, but he's an alt, so his skills are way behind. And he's an alt on this account, so unless I find a deal on MCT, chances are he doesn't have a skill queue running, which means his skills are way, way behind. So if you want to put in the hours, you can have lots of fun in J-Space. That's true. Oh, man, listen, the Nomad, I'm a huge fan of Chlorokin. The Nomad, if you haven't watched A Nomad's Tale, definitely go watch him. He's a very politically oriented person, so if you drop into his live streams, you might not agree with his political views, and it comes up often because people like to try to bait him. So, I don't know if live streaming you would enjoy watching him or not. I enjoy watching him, but it's not always about Eve, which is tough. But A Nomad's Tale and like the way that he lives and his tutorials and stuff for Chlorokin are awesome. So if you want to live like a nomad, I highly suggest it. I think that's probably end game for this character is going full nomad. But I don't know. It might be buying a station and being able to defend it by myself too. We'll see. Do I still do trading, buy and sell on the market? Yes, I do. Yeah, you can see the net worth on the profile, but that would just be for this character. So for this character, it's only 15 billion. But for across all my characters, I'm saying I think it would be higher. Just no handouts. Yeah, I mean, so if I get awarded a ship somehow, I let myself fly it. But yeah, no handouts. By the way, the greatest fit I have ever created is right this. A Traveler Crow. Let's see if I can import that. So let's save this. Yeah, I can't import it for some reason. I wonder if I try it from there. Is that more likely to work? Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why, but you can't do in the Twitch chats. So, but if you want to put it in that Whisper, I can go look at it there. See if I can copy it from there. Okay, so back to fitting this Hurricane. I've spiraled out of control. So our range is 18 kilometers for optimal and 44 for fall off. I'm okay with that. I think that'll be fine for missions. 400 DPS, but that'll go up as I actually skill into it, which I think the only one I need still is medium artillery specialization. And that's a 2% bonus. So I'll probably get that up to 4 before I fly it. Which would mean another 8%. And that's 8, 16, 32. So DPS will be around 450 probably. Micro warp drive is fine. I'm not, and it lets me do the micro warp drive cloak trick, so I should probably definitely have it. Oh, but I should split these for heat. Let me do it. What was I rocking? Fleet EMP. And then we can put the cloaking device back on there. A little heat protection. I think the real question is, do I want to go full buffer tank or do I want to put like a target painter or a web on here to help with application? Or I can put that tracking computer back in. That's a lot of EHP to lose, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily worried about them targeting me. What a fucking hodgepodge we have in the lows. But I feel like I need all of it. So yeah, I'm thinking this is the fit. We got to put drones in. I will, what's its bandwidth? 40. I kind of want to use light drones because I feel like I'm going to want to use this mostly on like frigates and stuff. But I guess we can put both. What is our drone bay? No, we're going to have to pick if we want to do lights or mediums. Yeah, Searchlight, it's just a mission fit for now. Brain Dead Engineer sent us his friend's PvP fit, which I liked. Didn't love, but I liked. It's just not the way that I normally fly. A lot of armor tank on it. But yeah, this is for PvP or PvE and like being able to survive gates. It's really my main focus is because if I go run missions, I have a feeling I'm going to have to bounce between systems, and so yeah, so this is a low sec gate hopper essentially. Which I'd love to have a stabilizer on it. But I probably have to take off a gyro stabilizer for that, and I don't love that. Can I get away without the power diagnostic system? Absolutely not. Actually, hold on. So if I do that and do that. Okay, alright, okay, alright, let's look. Let's do tracking computer and do I want to put a script in that? I probably want to just leave that. 15.8.15. I'll take that. And then can I put a warp core stabilizer on there? I have most of the Magic 14 trained Brain Dead Engineer. If I'm missing anything, it's probably just a level 5 here or there. Oh, that's interesting. So I was getting a lot. So the reason trained is filtered out. And the reason that brain is filtered out too. I was getting a bunch of the bots in the comments that are like, get AI viewers. And so I put AI in as a banned word to have the auto mod take out those stupid, chatbots in there. And it must also blur it out while it's inside of other words. So trained is AI is taken out of there. Which is funny. I'll have to find some other way to ban out those chatbots then. Because I thought it was just going to do AI when AI was a standalone word. So. Searchlight. If you're doing PvE, you might not need a micro warp drive. Swap AB. Lose power diagnostic and add stab. Yeah. Here's the thing. Well, I could do an AB fit with it. The thing is, do I want the tracking computer? Part of me wants the tracking computer. I'm not super worried about tracking because I should be far enough away. But, yeah, I do see your point. I need some kind of current router because, well, let's not theory craft halfway here. Let's just put in the equipment, right? What do I want here? Propulsion. Okay. So now I got 3 win conditions. Sub 5 align time, which isn't fast, but also for a battle cruiser isn't slow. I've got a warp core stab, and I've got the micro warp drive cloak trick, which I feel pretty good about. To your point, can I... So let's save the state here. Can I go with an AB here instead of a micro warp drive? Which means I got to pay a little bit more attention while I'm doing stuff because I'm not going to be able to boost away from them super fast. But... So that'll put me up. See, and I just, 589 for the top speed. It's not a lot. But okay, let's play it out, right? So then, let's take that off. And let's take that off. And I'm right up against it. I'll probably be running most of my missions in low sec, but there's a small chance that I take this out to like curse and run like angel missions with it. So yeah, the micro warp drive cloak trick, everybody makes it sound really easy. It is simple, but if you don't do it right, I've been caught before on just that instant between turning on your micro warp drive and turning on your cloak, because if you hit them simultaneously, it doesn't work. You have to hit them in order, and so you have to uncloak, hit the micro warp drive, hit the cloak, and then when the cycle comes back around, you have to be ready to turn the cloak off and jump. And I've been caught before in between with like an insta-lock gnosis. So it's not perfect. It's tough to do. I do it with key bindings. So I've rebound all my keys so I can, like, my top row, instead of being like F1, F2, F3, F4, is like a MMO, like a Warcraft, where like my top row is ERT, and then my middle row is like FGH, and my bottom row is CVB. And that's how I got to being able to do the micro warp drive cloak trick without having a problem. Brain Dead Engineer says it's super easy. Yeah, coming out of it is easier. When you come out of cloak, it's easier. But you have to hit the micro warp drive before you hit the cloak. Otherwise, the cloak might not turn on if the the warp drive might not turn on if the cloak is activated first. And so then you get into a spot where you don't have the inertia to insta-warp. So yeah, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I've escaped a lot of gate camps, a lot of ganks by using the micro warp drive cloak trick, but I did get caught. It was when I was newer at it, but so you also immediately when you come out of camp cloak, when you come out of gate cloak, you have to hit the micro warp drive, then you have to hit the cloak, and I did it too slow because I was waiting to make sure that I was out of gate camp cloak, into micro warp drive, into cloak, and I didn't get into cloak in the same tick, and so an insta-lock Gnosis put me on it and ruined me. You hit them at the same time and it works? See, and I hadn't been able to do that. When I would do that, just practicing on gates where there was no gate camp, when I would do that, it wouldn't work for me if I hit them at the same time. I had to make sure that I hit micro warp drive first and then hit cloak. So that's interesting. I wonder if maybe it was just something that I was doing wrong. But I can practice more and see if we can get it. But so having this AB where my max velocity is 589, it's not going to allow me to do the micro warp drive cloak trick, of course. But I still have the stab, so so then it would be a medium shield extender, and then I have a free rig slot to play with. Yeah, but even then, so I would have to burn one of my gyro stabilizers and put in at least a diagnostic. And then can I put in a large this way? Nope, that's the cap battery. What am I doing? Can I put in a large this way? No. So then if we use a reactor instead, which if you weren't here before, I hate using reactors and power cores. 3800 EHP, 400 DPS, that'll be closer to 450 probably. I understand that the stab will only save me from really shitty gankers, but in low sec, lots of times you get really shitty gankers. And with the align time being sub 5, that's plenty of time for even a shitty ganker to lock onto me. It also helps not at gates. So like if somebody jumps into my mission pocket or if I'm doing like a combat anomaly or something like that, because I'm in low sec, that oftentimes I'll get people that hop into my pockets while I'm in the middle of a fight. And of course they try to lock you down immediately. And so normally that's just with one ship. Very rarely are they good enough to have multiple ships jump on you and scram you at the same time. And so the stab will help me get out of there for that. And I think, honestly, I'm more worried about that than I am gate camps and low. Is somebody scanning me down and jumping into my pocket or my mission pocket or come into a combat anomaly. Because I just feel like that's more likely. Okay, I've got a very minimal amount of power grid left to play with. And the reason is because if I'm going to take up this rig slot to put an ancillary current router in there, I might as well put a 2 in there. L4s pay pretty well. Listen, I haven't been able to do them because the way I play my game, and I see that we had an extra viewer. The way I play, I haven't been able to do L4s yet, but that is a goal of mine that I'm working towards right now. But everybody that I talk to says the ways to make money is to run at least like T2 abysses, tier 2 abysses, run L4 missions, do PI, like those are and then hack in wormholes or in nullsec. And so those are kind of the ways to make money by yourself that's like practical. And so everybody says there's a big difference between running L3s and L4s. I have not done an L4 yet. That's what this is for. So it'll be interesting to see how I feel about it once I run it. L3s, by the time I got to L3s, like, if you're shipped right, they're not that hard. And same with L2s. Anything that I've run mission-wise has felt like kind of a joke. And so if you've only run L1s, I don't blame you for being like, it's kind of a joke. But all my friends and even other content creators that I've watched have said L4s is what you need to be aiming for if you want legit ISK per hour. And if you're disciplined enough to actually loot, it's there's some decent loot in there too. And then of course you hope you get an escalation and an officer mod or two. So okay. So I'm at 37, but I got 7 power grid left. Can I fit another medium for tank buffer? We're getting down to it here. But if I go compact and medium, I can do it. I can't go 2 compacts, right? Yeah, of course not. So the compact gets me like I'm like minus 500 EHP from the Tech 2, I think. 36.7. And the Tech 2, I'm at 37.9. So just about 1,000. But, well, let's see. If I do Tech 2, can I do the compact? No. So if I go compact and Tech 2, it's 40,000 EHP essentially. I just don't think I need that much buffer. Not for missions anyway. One thing I do like about shield tanking too is if you're running a mission and you're shield tanking and they eat through your shield somehow, even if it's just a buffer tank, you have plenty of time to be like, I'm going to stabilize and get out of here. Repair and come back, But I think I want the tracking computer. I think I'm happy enough with 37 EHP. I don't need the extra $2,000. So let's put the tracking computer back in there. We're cap stable, which is beautiful. Man, I'd love to be able to not take up 2 low slots here with an eye stab and a nano. But am I okay being sub 6 instead of sub 5? And I think the answer is no, I'm not. So I live my life in Knoll. I don't really get missions here. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But so like what I did when I was living mostly in Knoll with my buddy's corp is I just put an alt in Angel Space and ran missions there. So you're still in Knoll. You still have all your comforts of Knoll and your brutality of Knoll that you like. But that way you could just clone over and run missions. But really, I mean, you're doing the same thing if you're running combat anomalies out there. And if you're with Goon, I'm sure they have good indexes. So just run combat anomalies. It's basically the same thing. Okay. I think this is what we're going to go with. So let's save this bad boy. How much did it end up costing? 140? That's a pretty nice price, I got to be honest. I was expecting it to be closer to like 250. And 54, that is the ship, which I get the pleasure of building myself. Oh, just so you know, so you don't think I'm totally lost my mind. Once I build it and fly it, if I lose it, I can buy the next hull. Like, I don't have to only build the ships. So it's kind of like unlocking it once I build it. So after I fly my first one of these and get fucking potted, I can just go spend $54 million on a new Hurricane hull and keep going. Yeah, dude, R64 mining is the reason that I started, that I moved people out to nullsec, because I was trying to build stuff and I needed moon goo and couldn't get anything but, you know, R4 and R8. So I moved out there for R64 and 32. And actually the hardest to get now for me is 16 and 32, because finding people in nullsec that have Athenors is crazy hard. Even if you want to ninja mine it, which I do from time to time. But that's generally when I have to concede that I'm not going to be able to gather all the mats myself. Generally what it is moon goo that I have to go buy. So, all right. We didn't even get to PI, but we're over 3 hours on the stream, so I'm going to call it here. Fellas, appreciate you jumping in and talking some shop with me. Brain Dead Engineer, Searchlight, Hypnosis, you guys have been great. We'll do Eve on Tuesdays, so feel free to come back and hang out. Hopefully we can find interesting stuff for you to hang out with and interact with. Like I said, I'm a little bit of a unique player, so my content probably won't be the same as most creators, because they're just going to go out and yeet ships, blow them up. So, but hopefully it's interesting enough for you to come back and hang out. Other days of the week, I do other stuff. Tomorrow it'll be a D&D Wednesday. Thursday we'll talk about sports. Friday will be a free-for-all. So feel free to come back for those too. I appreciate the follows from you two fellas. I sat, drank, and munched rocks for 4 hours with a single Mackinac, and of course, or strip miners, Rorqual boost, made a bill. Yeah, see, problem with that is you have to multi-box to do it. But that's the nice thing about grouping up with a corp is, if you can run a fleet in a fleet like that, you can make some good ISK. for doing it solo, I have to either find people who will let me leech onto their fleets or just, fly like a Hulk or something like that and take the risk of being out there by myself. So can't quite make a Billy that way, but I enjoy the way I'm playing the game. I know I'm a weirdo. I get it. So, one of the guys has a Rorqual and 6 Bling Hulks. Oh, I've seen the mining fleets before, man. It's crazy how fast they can eat through some of these things that are out there, including R64 moon mining fields. So, all right, fellas. Like I said, I appreciate you hanging out. I hope you come back next week and we can hang out on Tuesday. Until then, I hope you fly safe, 07, and we'll see you out there.